Moving on, in April of 2025, U.S. inflation showed signs of cooling, providing a temporary reprieve for consumers. However, this relief is overshadowed by the looming impact of President Trump's sweeping tariffs on imported goods, particularly from China. These tariffs, which have raised import costs significantly, are prompting Americans to adjust their spending habits in anticipation of higher prices and potential shortages. The Consumer Price Index, known as the CPI, showed a modest increase, suggesting that inflationary pressures may be stabilizing. This has been welcomed by consumers, though the underlying causes of inflation remain a concern. In response to anticipated price hikes due to tariffs, many Americans are accelerating their purchases of imported goods. This preemptive buying is particularly evident in sectors relying on Chinese imports such as electronics, clothing, and household items. Retailers are adjusting to the shifting consumer behavior by increasing inventory levels and exploring alternative sourcing options. However, the effectiveness of these strategies is uncertain given the scale of the tariffs and the complexity of global supply chains. The tariffs have introduced significant disruptions in supply chains, leading to delays and increased costs. Businesses are facing challenges in sourcing materials and products, which could lead to shortages and further price increases. The unpredictability of trade policies is creating an environment of economic uncertainty. The uncertainty is affecting business investment decisions and consumer confidence, potentially slowing economic growth. In response to these challenges, some policymakers are advocating for measures to mitigate the impacts of these tariffs, such as targeted relief for affected industries and consumers. However, the political landscape remains contentious and the prospects for such measures are uncertain. While the cooling of inflation provides a temporary relief, the broader economic implications of the tariffs are significant. If the tariffs remain in place, they could lead to sustained higher prices for consumers, particularly in sectors heavily reliant on imports. Additionally, the strain on supply chains could affect product availability, leading to shortages and reduced consumer choice. The long term economic impact will depend on several factors, including the duration of the tariffs, the ability of businesses to adapt their supply chains, and response of policymakers to emerging challenges. Continued monitoring of these developments will be essential to understanding the full scope of the tariffs' impacts on the U.S. economy. As Americans brace for the effects of the tariffs, the interplay between inflation, consumer behavior, and supply chain dynamics will shape the economic landscape in the coming months.